Welcome back to Team O'Neill. I'm Wyatt.
I'm Chris.
And this is the next installment of our How to Gymkhana video series. And today we're going to be dealing with handbrake initiated drifts in all-wheel drive cars.
So if you guys are interested in this content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. But, you know, a handbrake initiated drift is what I think of when I think of most times drifting on pavement, right? That's the best way to lock up the wheel.
Well, especially with Ken, I mean, as you watch the video series, the handbrakes just keep getting bigger and more elaborate because he leans on it a lot and for very good reason. If you need to rotate the car quickly, nothing is gonna do it like pulling a handbrake.
We've got a stock handbrake, but in these Subarus, it's still that at least pull handbrake. We got the button to deal with, so we'll see how that goes. But I'm excited to watch you learn how to do this and hopefully can teach me something.
Yeah, and you know, it's the perfect sort of rental car technique. You can take it to rally, you can do different things. If you're good at handbrake turns, you don't always have to do them at, you know, blistering high speeds. It is a really useful skill to have. I haven't ever really done handbrake turns at the kind of speeds that we're about to do them, so we'll give it a shot and see what happens. All right, so using the handbrake to initiate a drift in an all-wheel drive car on pavement around a tight obstacle. Let's give it a shot. Speed coming in, braking, handbrake, first gear, clutch out. We'll take it, back to second and go. Not as much drift as I'd like on the exit, not as much wheel spin as you want. But again, we're not going for, you know, donuts around the Michelin Man or something like that. We're just going for that handbrake initiated slide with some precision. The key to this is not overdoing it with the steering, and an easy way to do that is to keep your left hand locked in at that 9 o'clock position, so that as you're handbraking and shifting in this case, you got a lot to do with your right hand. Your left hand can kind of turn in and turn back, and you always know where center is. You shouldn't need more steering than about that. Let's do it again. Go, 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 go. Lock that left hand in, braking, handbrake. First gear and go. All right, so let's add a few miles an hour at the equation. A little less straight line braking before I pull the handbrake. Coming in fast, let's do this. Handbrake. I noticed one time there I didn't have the handbrake all the way back down when I tried to accelerate out. So that is an occupational hazard to maybe worry about. Second gear, throttle and go. A little bit of brake, but then handbrake.
You see the lights turned off, so that's on these new modern cars, you can tell when the handbrake's pulled, the actual front lights go off. So we would pull the handbrake all the way back there and you can see that straight line, and then he's coming around the corner. I'm guessing he pulls the handbrake, turns in, that's what initiates that drift. And yeah, it's just, we'll see if I can do it myself or not.
It's tricky, you forget what you need to do. You really just gotta kind of get your eyes right, let it flow, stop thinking about it so much.
Handbrake on, smoking tires. Nice.
So the best way I found to do it is to clutch in, brake a little if you feel like you really need to, but mostly just pull the handbrake in a straight line. The back tires are gonna lock up. As soon as you turn in, the front end's gonna move over and the back end's gonna start to rotate. But because you've handbraked and then turned, the rear end's gonna stay in a straight line. You won't just cut in and hit the Michelin Man. As you're sliding around with the handbrake on and the wheel turned, when you decide you've got about enough rotation, put the handbrake back and make sure it goes back, which is hard with the button. Make sure the handbrake goes back, go from second to first, clutch out on throttle, see if you can get a little oversteer out of it at the finish and drive away.
Let's see it.
All right, let's do it. First, just to get going, second gear, get around this guy. Approach on the outside. Clutch in and handbrake, turn in, put it back first gear and go.
hoping I can get this one pretty easily.
It takes a few tries just to get the sequence and again get the feel for the car and everything else that's going on. But yeah, I've got faith in you as always. Let's do it.
Let's give it a shot.
The one thing I did mess up a few times is that making sure the handbrake goes back down.
Okay.
Not bad, not bad. Just smooth. Again, you did everything quick.
Yeah.
Slow your input, let it happen kind of thing.
I was getting excited.
Hey, no problem, no problem. So try it with your left hand just locked at 9 o'clock and you should be able to, you know, maybe a little messy at the end, fine, but for the most part, it should stay there.
Okay.
Let's go. Go, go, go. Yeah, left hand stays there. Not bad. You did the right thing. You needed a little more and you used it. That's fine.
I handbrake late.
Yeah.
So I was deeper into the corner.
Yeah, boy. I'm going to shut up. You know what you got to do. Look where you want to go.
Happens.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Nice.
Absolutely. Smooth. So yeah, using the handbrake to initiate a big drift, especially for tight corners, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I was able to go to Atlanta and go to the drift program that they have down there. Taught me about pulling that handbrake before the corner. You know, rally, we just seem to pull the handbrake after we're in the corner for some reason or whatever the maneuver we need. Lock up first, then turn.
Yes.
Lock up first, then turn.
Yes. Lock up in a straight line.
For me here, I had that sequence already kind of in my mind and working through it. That first one run, I was definitely way hot, way fast. So I actually slowed down and that made it really smooth, right? Like I just slowed my pace down, slowed my breathing and everything I was thinking about and definitely made it.
You know, the entry speed, as the entry speed goes up, the difficulty goes up. And you know, I had the same thing where it's like, oh, you can still make it, but it's not going to be pretty and you're going to come out a little messy, and it's like trying to find that happy medium where it is smooth. And that's one of the things that Ken was so good at, was dialing it in, getting it right so that it not only feels good, but it looks good on the camera too. And that's one of those things where, you know, people would say, oh, there's already tracks around that corner. It's like, well, yeah, I had to figure out how to do it. He's like an astronaut. He's the first one to do a lot of this stuff at the level that he was doing it. So yeah, super fun.
Well, we appreciate you guys. Please go ahead, like, subscribe, throw your comments in the comment section if you have any questions or any other thoughts. If you like this type of content, come out to Team O'Neill, get your chance to get behind the wheel, have some fun with us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks. Hope you guys like this type of content. Obviously, none of this could be possible without the legacy of Ken Block. Since his passing, his family and friends put together the 43 Institute, which is an amazing foundation to support creative, motorsport people, anyone trying to live their dreams through the eyes of Ken Block. If you have the time or money, please go and support 43i.org, and we look forward to seeing you guys out there, and thank you.